All right, so welcome to episode 3, season 2, and I've called this Coping in a World with COVID. Basically, depending on when you're listening to this and where you are in the world, I'm going to share what's happened in the UK. I'll give you a little update, but from Monday, the government are introducing more lockdowns. Basically, if there is 6 people or more, it's either 7. If there are 7 people or more socializing together, each will be fined £100. And if they're found again, they'll be fined £3,000. I suppose that's one way of paying off the debt which is acquiring, which is increasing, and all these furlough schemes. So we've given you your money. Now, listen to us. We'll pay the price. I mean, who would have thought that the world would be like this? If I said to you last year, if I said in 2019, I said, hey, next year is going to be tough. A few things are going to change. First of all, there's going to be no football, no sports. In fact, you can't even go to work, or restaurants, or cinema, or anywhere. You can't go out without wearing a mask. And kids won't be in school. Universities will be shut. Who would have believed me? I wouldn't have believed me. I'd be like, nah, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. Because that's how we live. Right? We're creatures of habit. We get into our routine of things. Anyway, it is what it is. And this episode is about how to adjust, how to cope, because it's going to make a few differences. And I'll start off by talking about really how to cope with the stresses. There's going to be more stresses. There are more stresses. We see it. If you put the news on, to control human behavior, which they have been doing for a long time. We've been conditioned to, reach for our phones, not be away from the internet for more than 5 seconds. Right? So, this has happened over a few decades. We've let it happen. And, but it is what it is. But how do we cope with the stresses of now, keeping all our social interaction, really, not in person? 6 is still not too bad. You can meet a few friends. It's a nice little gathering you can have. And they need to do it. I get it. They want to prevent the movement of this virus. And the governments are in a tough place because they have to govern. We've entrusted them to look after us, look after the countries. But I know I'm getting sidetracked here. And, that's what you'll get with me on these shows. It will be raw. I'm going to take you down little avenues of thoughts wherever they go. But I'll try to stick to the main topic as well. I have got some notes written down to keep me in line, but really, are we headed? Where are we headed with all of this? It's more separation. More separation, less human interaction. And, we'll be seeing each other through our screens, which is what is happening. And, I don't know about you guys, but I have a headache after I do some Zoom calls. It's like so stressful. And other people who have to have Zoom call after Zoom call, I don't know how they cope, because it's tough to do these things online because it requires so much concentration. I realize that's one way. You got to kind of stop looking at the screen so much. And, because it feels like you have to fight harder to get that human interaction. But if you just let go and relax and don't worry about looking at the screen too much, just, talk. Doesn't matter what you look at. And that's one coping mechanism of this new way of working, which is not in person. But, as freelancers, we're pretty much used to that. We're used to the solitary life. But what's happened now is that we can't even, if you're anything like me, the social thing was the thing that I would look forward to most, because that's one of the few times I could meet with friends and have a chat, have a few drinks, maybe grab a bite to eat, talk about just anything. And now it's tough to do that. It's everyone's scared. I had a friend of mine, very good friend. He didn't let me in his house. There's no rules about I've been wearing a mask. I've hardly gone out. But he said he was scared. You could see the fear in his eye. And he was very much like, no, you're not coming in. I can't risk it. I'm sorry. But this is the way it is. And there's something really cold in that. But is this what's happening? Are we being dehumanized? Because it felt like that. It felt like that. Are we reaching to more alcohol just to fill the hole, to fill the gap that our friends used to do before? It's tough. It's tough. But there is a way forward. I'll share what I've been doing, and really if you look at what's being taken away, of course you're going to feel the pain of that. Nobody wants their toys taken away. Nobody wants things removed from their life, because that hurts. It's one of the biggest motivators that we have, is fear of losing things. We work so hard to get them. And when we finally have them, we worry about losing them. I'm guilty about that with my wife. I met her 20 or so years ago. She's gone to see her parents now. And I worry about losing her. And really it's a selfish thing, because I'm worried about being on my own. How will I cope without her? After 20 years of marriage, you become reliant on people, and you can't just replace a person with another one. If anything happened to her, I wouldn't be with anyone else. I wouldn't want to. Probably wouldn't want to remain on this earth. I'd only stay here for my kids. But how do we cope? How do we cope with the lack of, social interaction, the dehumanization, the fact that the one solace that we had was meeting up with a few friends at the end of the week, and we can't do that now because they're scared. They're scared to meet up because they've been brainwashed with the constant attack from the press, from the media, and it's the same old story. Negative. COVID is going to kill you. Do you know, I just spoke to a nurse, and she said to me, she said, it doesn't make sense. She said, all this reaction just does not make sense. She said she doesn't know one person who has died from COVID. This is a nurse. She doesn't know one person who has died from COVID. She said that they're going to start doing vaccinations, essential vaccinations. And if you don't comply, then you won't get things like mortgages. But not many people are dying from this. More people are dying from other things like the flu. Yes, it's contagious, but the percentage of people who die from this is lower than the flu. Just look at the numbers. That's all I say. Look at the numbers. Don't look at what... You see, I used to work in data, and I know numbers can be manipulated. So you've got to look at past the headlines, because the headlines can spin numbers in any way you want. Really, it comes down to, when you're looking at data, it's not black or white. It's how you want to spin it. You know, you can say, 1 in 10 people died. You've got 10%. 1 in 10 chance. There's 10 of you, one of you is going to die from COVID, for example. Example from something, right? Those aren't the numbers for COVID, but I'm just saying, as a stat. But that's how they've spun it. You know, suddenly they've introduced fear. They've made it personal. 10 people you know, or it could be 100 people you know, right? Really, the numbers are, I think, of the ones who got COVID, I think a friend was telling me 0.1% died. Of the ones who got COVID, 0.1% died. 1 in 1,000. I'll have to check those stats. And check them yourself, because they're going to keep changing, right? But the point is, we're being asked to change our behaviors. So how do you find a coping mechanism? So it's really important, guys, that you don't get bogged down. I mean, sure, you can have a moan, just like I did. And that's part of the reason I do these things, because there's like nobody to talk to now. There's nobody to talk to apart from a freaking microphone. But you're still allowed to go out for a walk. You're still allowed to exercise. If you look at it as a negative thing about what's being taken away from you, then of course there's going to be pain. But if you look at it as a positive thing and spin it and change the way you look at things, this will change for you. Something so negative will become a blessing. You can see the excitement. You can see the highest point, the highest vibration you can set in anything that you look at. So think about this. You've got more time to yourself. And that itself is a blessing. Now, the question is, how do you choose to spend that time? Are you going to look at the news? Look at install the BBC apps and the Sky News app and keep popping it up? Go on WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups, which are probably full of a load of shit, right? In terms of negativity. People moaning, complaining. Do you want to be part of that crowd? Trolling, Or do you want to find peace in yourself? This is your chance. This is your chance to spend time with yourself, to expand within, and to do all the things that we've been told about by spiritual leaders and brilliant people, brilliant minds. What did they do? They used to go inwards for answers, not out. They went in. And how do we go in? We close our eyes. We go to a quiet place. We sit down or we stand. And we simply observe. We observe our thoughts. We listen to the sounds in the room. We become present. And we don't think about the future or the past. We only focus on where we are right now, and things won't affect us then. It doesn't matter about the future. It doesn't matter about the past, because those places don't exist right now. In fact, you'll never get to the future. You'll always be in the present. In the present. That's all we have. It reminds me of a saying in the film Kung Fu Panda, when the Kung Fu master said, what is it? Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. Today is a gift. That's why they call it a present, or the present. It's the ultimate present. And so many of us are just so busy worrying about things in the past or the future. And take a few moments. Allocate this in your time, in your daily schedule. Work will always be there. It will never finish. But you'll be so busy that you won't be able to find a coping mechanism as things get more chaotic in the world around you. I've mentioned a guy I listened to called Bashar, and he said it's important to stay in the eye of the storm. As you see chaos around you, if you're in a storm, the only place you can go is right in the middle. It's completely peaceful, while you see havoc raised around you, screaming, the screaming sounds of the wind and the storm around you. But in the eye of the storm, there's peace. That's where we need to go. That's where we'll find our peace. So if you find yourself imbalanced, and I've been imbalanced this last week, there were changes. I had to do the school run. I was all over the place, not sure when to pick, and the local council have been blocking roads, so what a time to do it when the schools are starting, so there's traffic everywhere, and then the kids don't want to go and they don't want to walk 7 minutes to the car. It's like you have like these stroppy teenagers. But it takes usually a week, and then everybody adjusts. Other drivers, I've been guilty of road rage. Road rage is in like lifting my hand. What the heck are you doing? Something like that. It's funny, isn't it? It's always the other person who's wrong. We never look at ourselves. We never look at our bad habits and driving, or when we're mean to someone else. It's always somebody else. So, but when we realize that there's not much that separates them and us, then them from us. that they're just an extension of us, ultimately, because we all came from the same stuff. You could have been them. And what is it that makes you you anyway? Have you thought about that? Is it your past? Is it your history? Or rather, what we've been told is our history and his story. His story. It's someone else's story. It's not your story. The only thing that matters is your story, not his story. So, when we look at, these are some thoughts, these were things that were on my mind that I wanted to share. So meditation is a big one, going within. That's a massive coping mechanism. Now, when you do start meditating, you'll probably start experiencing things right now which will alter your state of reality. Because right now, it's like the universe is... I challenge you to do this. I challenge you to be open. Listen to your breathing. And just keep an open mind and see the benefits. But I'm hearing from other people, many other people, that right now it's an optimal time to go within, and you'll start removing the layers of the physical reality that we've co-created. And you'll start changing the way you see the world, because the world actually will be the same, but your perception of it will change and your experience of it will change through meditation. I also practice something called QHHT and BQH, which is quantum healing hypnosis therapy, and BQH is beyond quantum healing. These are advanced hypnotherapy practices which allow us to connect with people's deep states, or their subconscious mind. And I'm not just talking about the subconscious mind as in what works in the background automatically, like the fact that your heart keeps beating, or all this stuff, which is these amazing stuff which is happening in your body and you're not even conscious about it. That allows you to have this experience as a human. But all this stuff has to happen. And we're not even aware of it, right? We don't feel it. We can't control the beat of our heart. Yet it carries on beating. With QHHT, we access the higher self, the higher mind, and it's something that I've been testing for a while. I was like, what is this? This is fascinating. And I went for a session, and I had quite an amazing session. It's like trying the drug ayahuasca, but without the drug. You're entering a state of mind which is the subnormalistic state. Your brain pattern changes to theta, and it's the place where you go. It's the place of dreams. I mean, I've always been fascinated with dreams anyway. Where do they come from? How come they're so real? How come I'm always behaving myself in dreams? Because it's like, wait a minute, that's not real. I just made all of that up? Really? Where did that come from? So what we're doing is, through QHHT, through hypnosis, we take people to the dream state. We then ask them to go back to an appropriate time and place. They then go back to an appropriate time and place and see themselves in a body using their imagination. Imagination isn't something that we've been taught, which is, oh, it's just your imagination. It's just nothing. It's just nonsense. No, it's a lot deeper than that. It's a tool. It's a door to a whole different world. And you can achieve so much through your imagination. Athletes, we know, see the benefits through visualization. Einstein came up with his theories through his imagination. Everything that you see existed ever was in somebody's mind first. Everything that is man-made that you see existed started off as a thought in someone's. It was in their imagination. They imagined it into existence. So don't be so quick to just mock it and say, oh, it's only my imagination. No, it's your greatest gift, your greatest tool. And if you want to achieve anything, you can do it through your imagination. How to do it. So you can, through QHHT, we've put people under, and what fascinates me is, in fact, I had a session yesterday. It was through BQH, so we could do it online. The lady was shown 2 scenes, and they also call this past life regression, but that's an opinion. It's a label that we stick on it. You don't have to call it past life regression. Is it really your life? Does it matter? No, I'd say no. But the story was shown to you for a reason. So that's what happens in this QHHT sessions. People see themselves literally as a different person. Sometimes, if you're a male in this life, then right now you're a male. You could have been a female. You could be a little boy or a little girl. And that's literally what happens. We take him to an appropriate time and place, and that's the only suggestion that we do. And they then look around. Everything's recorded so that we have a record of it. They then look around, and then they describe what they see, and the job of the hypnotist is to keep asking questions. What do you see? What is happening? And really, the hypnotist becomes a detective. It's like watching how can I say this? It's not as interesting as a, whodunit murder thing, mystery, because there's usually no murders involved, although there often are. But it's like they're in a video game, I guess, and they just have to describe what they see. And now I have to keep asking questions for them to describe what they see. Otherwise, they're not going to tell me anything. They're just going to be experiencing stuff. But what gets to me is that you can ask them anything about where they are, and they'll give you so much intricate detail. But the hypnotist can then take them to another appropriate time and place within that person's life. And doing this several times over, you start building clues about who this person is. What do they do for a living? What's their name? How do they eat? You do this for one life, you do it for another life. And you literally take that person to the last day of their life, and you see how they died. And they see and experience death without the pain. And it's often separation from the body. I mean, the fact that they are not the body. They are separate entities. They always believed they were the body, but they're not. And there's so much evidence for this. That we're not just the body, we're so much more. We are something else. We are in the body. We are a spirit inside the body. But we will leave this body and continue that journey. And what fascinates me as well is the stories. We then ask, after the session, we ask, why did what was the lesson in that person's life? And they tell us. And this is all coming from the same person's mouth. They tell us why they showed those scenes, they were shown those scenes. And it's always relevant to this person's life, you know? And then it gets even deeper. We can take them to see their guides, or these other beings who usually don't have names. And those are what Dolores Cannon refers to as the subconscious mind, the SC, or I like to call them the higher selves. And with them, you can ask them anything. I mean, they might not reply, they might not answer your questions, but you can get the answers to anything. And it's fascinating, you know? Because it's like, for me, it's like being in the presence of an omniscient, omnipotent being that is all-knowing. And they don't even have names because everything is telepathic. And I've tested this, guys. I've not done this once. I've done this 10 times. Well, I've done it more than 10 times. I've done it on 10 different people. And some people I've done it 2 or 3 times. But it's fascinating that we can get to this place in the mind and connect with things and get the answers. They're all inside of you, which is why I say meditation is helping you go inside of you. If you want to know more about QHHT, just reach out to me. If I won't do a session, because sometimes I do get busy with the voiceover stuff, but if I don't do sessions, then I can recommend somebody who can, because I know new students, and they usually need people to practice on, and it's safe. Right, I did tell you. I said I'm gonna take you to. I'm gonna take you all over the place. And I'll be honest, I've not shared this kind of stuff publicly. I've been afraid because I haven't known how to share it. I just haven't known how to share this stuff because people don't understand it and they immediately jump to the same conclusion, which is you're a nut. But I've done this, I've tested it. I studied physics at university. There's much more to you. You're much more powerful than you think you are. You're much more bigger than you believe you are. And you can accomplish and achieve anything that you put your mind to and work towards. But you know, all these goals that we have are always monetary, right? I mean, even it's just not satisfying. I did $9,000 last month in voiceover. I've done a little over $2,000 so far for this month. And I was thinking, where am I headed? Do you know what I do? I go out and eat. I enjoy that food. Because that's all I can do at the moment. You can't go out anywhere else. But I go for a nice meal. I'll go on my own if I have to. If people are too scared, fine. I'll go on my own. I enjoy food. I'll eat. I'm not going to live in fear. And this is the other thing. Some people are so afraid to die that they forget to live. Like my friend, he was paralyzed. He didn't let me in the house. He was whipped. His work is more busy than ever. He's been doing 12-hour days. He's every single day. And, I'm like, well, I kind of do long hours all the time. But it's different when you have a business because it's like, it doesn't feel like work. If you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work. I mean, this for me is actually part of my work because at some level I'm not only doing my own therapy here, but I'm also connecting with somebody out there who might listen to my podcast, and eventually somebody might connect with someone and someone, they need a voiceover done. Who knows? Do you know what? My point is, like, with the money will come. The money will come. And then when it comes, you're going to be like, is this it? We see this with celebrities. There's deep dissatisfaction. And for whatever reason, they might get hooked on drugs or alcohol, sex addicts, whatever. There's only so much you can do of this physical satisfaction, acquiring wealth, acquiring emotions, acquiring sensations. It's deeply dissatisfying after a while. And you got to have something more. And that's why I'm saying meditate, go inside, because there you're entering a world which is endless, boundless. There's no limit. And you can literally expand your consciousness and learn to leave your body. It's called astral projection. You've heard of out-of-body experiences. You can do this without drugs. I managed it once, and the experience freaked the heck out of me. Because it's like, it's not just your imagination. That's actually you. That's what happens when you're astral projecting. You will feel zero gravity because it's such a weird experience. But we do it every night anyway, in our dreams, or when we sleep, rather. Sometimes you're going to sleep and you just kind of jolt, like, that's like you getting that senseless, weightlessness sensation, losing the sense of the feeling of gravity because you're floating off, and then you freak out and then you go back to your body. Through QHHT, I've been speaking to many people, and it fascinates me. People have literally been, they're being guided by their guides to astral project. One friend that I met online, she literally told me, she said her son saw her. She said, my husband didn't see me when I was astral projecting. He was asleep. But my son, I went into the other room and he was in his cot, and he got up and he said, Mama? And she was in her astral projection form. And now she's having even more experiences. The world is not what we're shown to, guys. There's so much more to this universe. There's a billion trillion stars out there. And although the Earth and our solar systems we call planets, everywhere else they're called exoplanets. And each star, each of those billion trillion stars, has at least one exoplanet. So that's a lot of planets out there. And we're a million, I think a million years younger than our nearest star in evolution. So if they do have life, they're a million years ahead of us. Imagine how far we've got within 100 years of evolution, 150 years. From the car, to the Charles Babbage computer, to Pong, to rockets in space, to amazing communication gadgets in our handsets, in our hands. I mean, so imagine a million years of that. And that's just one star. What about the one that was before them, and before them? So if we think that, in the whole universe, this is it. This is it. This is everything. Guys, wake up. And if you think, what has this got to do with me? There's going to be more things being revealed over the next few years. And it all comes down to there's a higher version of us. There's more to us than meets the eye, than we're being led to show. Right now if you think about it, the whole system has been oppression up till now. When you're a kid, as soon as you come out of your mum's womb, you're given a smack. Then you're given some jabs. Then you're put into school and you're knocked into shape. And you're told to sit there quietly and listen. And then do your homework. And then when you finally do get a job and graduate, you have to get a place to stay, and then, it's just, there's got to be a better way, right? You're spending your whole life looking just for survival, where a place to live, which will cost hundreds of thousands and take you a few decades to pay off, if you're lucky, if you ever have the money to actually buy a place of your own. It's this system it's got to be better than this. It's not right. So the awakening process, the expansion, that is in contradiction to how the universe is. See, the way humans live is such a negative way. It's always a fear of lack. If you look at every leader, all of humanity, if you look at the wars that we've had, it's always to overtake, and the war to have one war to finish all wars. As if they know something better than the others. But the problem is that we don't see ourselves as all as one. Now what's happening is that fundamental value is changing as we start shifting towards a new way of thinking. And the new way of thinking is that we are all one. That person, that homeless person is me, is part of my family, the human family. And when you think like that, you won't be able to walk past them so easily. The other thing I was going to say was, apart from meditation, walk regularly, exercise, keep your mind at peace, at ease. Listen to music that uplifts you. It could be classical. Find the things that make you happy and peaceful. Find your bliss. If it's watching TikTok, watch TikTok. Because at least that's not negative. Unless you start watching negative things on TikTok. You know, change the algorithm by watching positive things, funny things. And you'll be laughing. Your whole demeanor will change. I know people who have fought depression just by watching TikTok. So find your peace and your bliss. Find your rhythm. What works for you. I really enjoy these shows, and I will continue these because I think these things are relevant. From my 45 years of experience, I think there's more to life than just working, just paying your bills, eating, shitting, buying stuff. You know, those things are good, but they come to their end really quickly, and the satisfaction just dries up. So I remember I used to buy so much stuff on Amazon because I was desperate to start a business on the side. I didn't know what it was, so I'd buy loads of camera gear. And I pretty much built a recording studio. I must have spent £10,000-12,000 on this stuff. But the money didn't bother me. I was more worried about what was I going to do with my time when I had too much of it, because I had to run this business, which I could do with my eyes shut. But I couldn't hold down another job because that had to be first priority. So it was like, what do I do with my time? When it's quiet, I'll go insane. All my friends are working. And when you start looking, you know, usually the things are staring you in the face. I'll do another video on this, podcast rather. But usually they're staring you in the face. It's like finding your why. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this show. It's just me talking with my thoughts. Like I said, this is therapy for me. And I don't need anyone to listen to this. But if it helps anyone, great. Because the world is becoming lonelier. And I do recommend you guys do your own podcasts. Record them. Doesn't matter what you say. Let me know. I'll listen to you guys. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts. But there's something so liberating in being able to just record your voice and your mind and not know what you're going to talk about and just letting it flow. It's something so freeing in that. And not even having an agenda, like, oh, I have to talk about this. There's no have to. You just talk. You just talk. And, well, this is the longest episode so far. So I'll speak to you until the next one. Take care.